This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. So no matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Heather McDonald has got the juiciest scoop. When you're on the road, when you're on the go, Juicy Scoop is the show to know. She talks Hollywood tales, her real life Mr. Segment serial data, and serial sister. You'll be addicted and addicted fast to the #1 tabloid real life podcast. Listen in, listen up. Woo woo. Heather McDonald, Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald. Yes, I have so much to catch up with you guys on my weekend, on topics, on everything that's going on. You have been asking that I do a solo, and now you're going to get it. And oh my God. Well, first, let's just talk about my fun weekend. Went to New York with Andrea Lopez and Anna Roisman. They were my opening sketch guests. It was so fun. To everybody that came to New York, Lincoln Center in DC, as well as Red Bank, we had a blast. I took the train. So fun. Like, wow. We took a train from New York to DC. I was very scared. I was terrified we'd miss it. I was panicked. And like, as I got on the train, I had to tell everybody, I'm sorry, it's my first time on a train. I don't know where to put my suitcase. Like, it was just all embarrassing for Drake, my son, who was helping us, assisting us, filming the shows. Anyway, it was so fun. And then, of course, my next show will be at Agua Caliente in Palm Springs. I think there might be still a few tickets left. Go to heathermcdonald.net. That is March 1st, Saturday night. Only one show there. How fun it is going to be. Beautiful weekend. heathermcdonald.net. So you're going to go there. And also what I've been doing, I'm going to share on Patreon. And you go, oh, why do you have to save stuff for Patreon? Because it's the more personal stuff. I've been doing it for now like 8.5 years. It's basically my diary. And in doing what I'm going to share there, I've been going through some old things that I found, like old notebooks from like 1995 where like stand-up jokes began, as well as things from like 10 years ago. And just to wet your whistle, I found this typed up thing that we did in the writer's room of Chelsea lately. And I believe, I can't remember which writer put it together. Someone with nice writing put it together. And we all took it home and I saved it. And it's several pages of very inappropriate things that were said, though hilarious, in the writer's room during that time. And this is what freaks me out. Okay, so this is probably maybe 11 years ago, like the last 6 months of, or maybe last year of the show, that we started to like chronicle when people said crazy, funny, off the cuff stuff in a writer's room. I have a quote in here that says, I've always kind of wanted to faint, but I never have. Okay, so I said that over 11 years ago. 2 pages later, with different writers in between, it says, have you ever been in an ambulance? It's on my bucket list, Heather. There's a lot of other ones that are super funny, all of which I'll share there, even the extremely inappropriate ones that are mine. I'm not going to share other people's. But crazy, strange. Also, in searching for my old stuff, I found some taglines. I must have asked you guys what you will give me for a tagline if I was ever to become a real housewife. And some of these are real doozies, okay? I like all of them. And I may have read these 10 years ago, but I don't remember. This comedian has a juicy scoop around town. Cross me, and I'll make you the clown. Pretty good. This is from a girl named Rihanna. I don't spread my legs. I spread the word of Juicy Scoop and Jesus Christ. That's when I used to say spread the word of Juicy Scoop as you would Jesus Christ. And, that gets me in trouble. Okay. I'm going to save these for my Patreon on Friday, but here's one of my favorite ones. Hold on. This is too dirty. I'll save the dirty one for the other one. Okay. I pray to God, but that's not the only thing I do on my knees. Kind of nasty. I may be a comedian who loves to play, but don't you dare disrespect my Chardonnay. That'd especially be good if I was a housewife with a Chardonnay line. Anyway, there's a ton of these. So fun. Okay, now let's get into what's been happening in the last week or so. So I know you guys are like, not very few of you are like, I don't care about Blake and Justin, but I'm going to give you updates. I don't have a guest here where I have to recap the whole thing for 20 minutes. But the latest is Blake Lively was supposed to turn in an amended complaint about the original complaint, which was she was sexually harassed on set by Justin Baldoni. And it was going back and forth. She also had asked to subpoena all the phone records from all different carriers for her case about Justin doing a, huge smear campaign with his people and with his publicist with bots and everything else to ruin her career, upset her reputation, causing her distress, and also losing work. So that was all part of her first thing. So his biggest thing coming back is, I did not sexual harass anyone. And also, now in everybody researching it, she really took over the project. Okay, so that we know. I'm not going to rehash everything, all the interviews I've talked about where she's literally telling on herself. And she's like, yeah, when you have me come, it's kind of funny. A lot of people think I'm just going to come in and be this actor, and I pretend I just want to be an actor, but I have to be in every part of it. I want to be part of the wardrobe. I want to be part of the script. I want to take the script and find the little nuggets that I can make a bigger thing out of and put myself into it. And it's really just about exploring what a character can be when the character is you, but you want to be part of it. And you want to explore what you're putting out there to show that it is about you, but as well as what it can be to the viewer who wants to see the flowers in the relationship and who this woman is. It's like, it is the most like word salad kind of talking. And we've all been watching all of this stuff. So what was it? We know that Jenny Slate, who plays his sister in the movie, Justin's sister in the movie, and her best friend, that right off the bat, she stopped following Justin Baldoni, and we assume she was on the side of Blake, though we haven't really heard from her. And now basically Blake, latest complaint, which was like at the final hour, the judge said, you have to have it by this. They asked for extensions. The judge was like, no, put it in. She says there's two women also on the cast of It Ends With Us that also said they felt uncomfortable. That's all we know at this point. She does not say Jenny Slate or the girl who played young Lily, who looked just like her, was a great actress. About a third of the movie was her as this young girl falling in love with her first boyfriend, which plays this other actress. And there's romantic scenes and sex scenes in there that I'm assuming Justin Baldoni, as the director, would have had to have some say in how it was done, would have had to talk to her, say, do it this way. I think I said it before. I think Justin Baldoni is a close talker. I think he's someone who is that acting teacher, that acting artsy guy that stands like this, a little too close to you and really looks in your eyes. And that's how he conveys what he's trying to get across. So what I personally think happened is I think Blake got some verbal confirmation 2 years ago, or even sooner, or even more recent, with Jenny Slate and Isabella, who plays the young character of herself, at some point, either on set or during this time where she did the complaint, where they said, where she was just sort of bitching like a boss. Like, don't you hate it when he does this? And then being like, yeah, it's a little much. He's a bit of a close talker. He gets a little too intense in his description. And didn't it make you feel uncomfortable? Yeah, it was a little uncomfortable. I would be shocked if there was really more evidence to the supposed Jenny Slate and Isabella. Now, they don't say their name, but there's literally the only other people in the movie is the woman that played Lily's mother. And I don't think it's this older woman who complained about him. And I don't really think Blake was, getting close to an extra or someone who had one line at a restaurant. I don't think that's who it is. I think, when someone's bitching or complaining about their husband or a coworker and they, you kind of get into it like, yeah, oh my God, yeah, I was a little creeped out, when he came over and was like, you're going to do great in this scene. And when I say it reminds me of that acting teacher, that guy that's like a little too yoga pants, him bun wearing, I get it. That's who he is. Does it mean he's a sexual harasser? We're just discussing. I'm not, trying the case. I'm just saying public opinion. No, I don't think he is. I do think he's going to prevail in this whole big thing. I think Jenny Slate is probably like, oh, fuck, because now his defense, and his attorneys, not only his defense attorney, but his attorneys who are also suing Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds for $400 million. If those people come and are witnesses for her, they are going to rip those two women apart and ask about, go in deep. They've got the money to go in deep about every podcast they've ever done, every interview. We already found an interview that Jenny Slate said, joking about how she would hit her ex-husband, Chris Pratt. I listened to it. I don't think it should be taken seriously. But yeah, if all of a sudden I was part of a big lawsuit, don't you think they would go through every single thing I have said on Twitter, on podcasts, on Chelsea Lately, on my Patreon, every single thing, and try to be like, well, she must not be that upset about this thing because she joked about Harvey Weinstein in his bathrobe with Chris Franjola 5 years ago. Like, it doesn't, even though I joked about that, which was probably at the time, maybe a little raw and too inappropriate to talk about, it doesn't mean that this other thing still didn't happen to me. So now I assume these girls are like, oh, fuck. But now what do? Because they also want to be loyal to who they said they were going to be loyal to. It is a big effing mess for everybody. Recently, Gayle King interviewed the other love interest in the movie. And she's like, whose side are you on or something? And he goes, it ends with us. Like, it ends. I don't want to discuss any of it, which is the right thing to do. But he's a guy. So he's not saying Justin Baldoni, was sexually harassing him. Yeah, I had an acting teacher in high school that was a real close talker. But I was so excited to finally have someone that was going to like get us into like the LA high school improv competition. We were finally doing real stuff and drama at this school. And he came up to me one day and he was like, now listen, I had a big fat face. A lot of people think I have cheek filler. I'll show you some old photos. These are my cheeks. Imagine how fat they were all those years back. Okay. So I looked like a human Cabbage Patch doll. I was not a looker, though my mother told me I was. And this guy came up to me, and he's like well into his 40s, and his biggest claim to fame was he played a priest on Young and Restless. But anyway, coincidentally. And he goes, I just want to tell you, it's so great that you're, the president of the Thespian Club and you're such an inspiration to the younger girls. And he took my face and he kissed my cheek. And I remember feeling real creepy about it. And I was like, oh God, I just want this to stop, but I don't want him to get fired because I really want to go to the LA improv competition with all these other high schools that we've never been able to go to. So I went and told my English teacher, who was a woman, and I don't think he's trying to get with me. I think he doesn't understand that he's a close talker and that we are young girls and he's one of 3 male teachers. This is what I was saying in like 1988. And after that, he stood way far back. We went and did the one acts. We did all these cool things, said goodbye, never heard from him again. He never had anybody say he did anything wrong after that. That was just my experience. Okay. I'm just saying there could have been something where in casually saying, yes, like sometimes he's a little intense. He definitely seems like someone who does like a lot of leave-in conditioners for his hair and like probably also like, does that for his friends and wives. I don't know. His wife. Anyway, he just strikes me as that kind of a person. So we have that going on. That's the latest with that. Also, these are just she just said, Blake goes on to say that another female cast member confided in her that she felt uneasy on set, and her concerns were also documented in writing nearly a year before the film had started. What is that? Is that a text between the two of them, between Blake and this other actress? Did it actually go to Sony or Wayfarer or to Justin? That could be also more damaging than just what I'm saying. I felt a little creeped out. He's a close talker. We'll see. Oh, also, in addition, Blake claims a female cast member reported her concerns to Sony's Angie Giannetti and a producer of the film. So she's saying one person was, we don't have all that information. So that's the latest that we will get. We'll get how much and what of concern, how much detail. Was it on this day at 4:45? I was getting a muffin and he came right behind me and I felt his penis through his yoga pants. What is it? What is it? So we'll hopefully find out. Also, when the person you're saying is sexually harassing you is drop dead gorgeous, with a perfect body and seems to be an overall nice guy that every woman and man that sees him, here he is in Hawaii, lucky for him. Some paparazzi just happened to be there to take his perfect body photo. It also makes it like, you're like, versus a Harvey Weinstein, where you're like, whoa. So it doesn't make a difference, but we are talking about this because it is such a big thing to discuss. And that also makes people maybe not really believe the whole Blake Lively thing. Okay, then let's get into the Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively. So this weekend was the 50th anniversary of SNL, and there were parties and then there was a Chris Rock 60th party the next night and an after party and the events and the red carpet. And, Kim Kardashian played in a sketch, and so did Scarlett Johansson, who has been on the show a lot and is married to Colin, who is a regular on the show. She was previously married to Ryan Reynolds. So interestingly, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, who skipped the last couple awards shows, went to this, looking gorgeous and great, walking the red carpet. Some people were surprised that they attended. And now it's there. So there was this moment where Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are on stage and people in the audience that are famous are asking questions, and it's Ryan Reynolds. And they're like, oh, how's everything going for you lately, Ryan? And he goes, why? What have you heard? And it pretty much ends there. But that got a lot of talk and a lot of articles. And so people were like, oh my God, if she was really sexually harassed, he's making light of it. Again, there's two ways of thought. One, you go away. Two is you fight it, you stay in the limelight, you continue on, you have fake fan moments being filmed like he did with those people signing. You have the paparazzi meet you when you're getting coffee to just look like you're living your life. And you go to the SNL thing and you talk to people. When you come up to people, just because they've been reading that there's some bullshit going on between you and your lawsuits and everything, if they know you, they're going to be nice. They're going to take a photo. So now you have photos with Chevy Chase and all these other people. No one seems to be blowing them off at these parties. But in doing that now, this guy also did a podcast that worked there, who said there was another situation with Ryan Reynolds that they were supposed to do. And at the last minute, he pitched this. And if SNL is edgy and wants to be the pulse of what everyone's talking about, that was the right exchange to have with Ryan Reynolds, not just talk about Deadpool or whatever. And so sometimes I think they only don't want to do that to their guest because they don't want to offend the guest. So if the guest is like, hey, come on at me, say this, and I'll be like, why? What have you heard? Mocking the fact that it's all over the news. She seemed generally like a little bit surprised, but maybe she doesn't know. Maybe he really is that controlling and she thought it was going to be the original bit, or she didn't even know he was going to stand up. I don't know, but she just went along smiling, having fun during the night. It was really star-studded. The sketches were great. there were some people that didn't attend that from years back and even more recent years, like Bill Hader, who, dates Ali Wong. And it was so funny and on the show and gone on to do his own, series and everything. And he just said, the show gave me so much anxiety and stress. I love it, but, I just didn't feel like going. You never know. It is one of the most stressful places for many people I know that worked on it, from times where I was up for it. Again, I'll share that story on the Patreon of auditioning and everything and what happened. But since I was in New York, it was funny because I was like, I look at my life and I'm like doing those great shows this weekend and, being with these two younger performers, Andrea and Anna, who I would love to see them go on SNL one day. I was like, there is not 1 ounce of envy I have about any of this. I jokingly was like, love to go to the party, but I was even like, if some weird thing came, because the party was at a hotel I normally stay at the Plaza, and I ended up not staying there. And I'm like, I wonder if it was downstairs, would I have been able to just like at least weasel around since I'm staying at the hotel and just see some people leaving and be like, hey, I don't know. I think it all worked out perfectly. I was in my bed and like caught a flight the next day. And because everything always works out the way it's supposed to be in life. And it's just really interesting perspective that I'm excited for you guys to listen and share on the Patreon. Go to heathermcdonald.net. But so they had all the parties. Also, then someone posted this, that Ryan Reynolds, after his SNL 50th anniversary appearance, he was also appeared on The Voice, which is just kind of interesting. So they are not going away. Like when most people have some social media stink or some, enclave of people being like, they said this, they should be canceled, Most people go away for 6 months to a year, whatever. No, because this is an active lawsuit and neither side is backing down. Neither side is going to settle. Both want to have a full-blown trial. The people I honestly feel sorry for are these two actresses, whoever they might be, but we know they're probably Jenny Slate and the Isabella, where it leaves them. Now, also they said that now he could use that in his defense, or not defense, but in his argument against them, Justin, that, you're joking about the sexual harassment. So that's that, but I don't really agree with that. I started on the plane ride home the movie that is about the first episode ever of SNL back in the 70s. There's a guy playing Lorne Michael. And I was like, oh, I love this. I've read books on SNL and there's so many juicy things that happened over the last 50 years. I was like all excited to watch it. That is not it. Oh my God. I did not enjoy it. Love to all the actors, the young actors that played Chevy Chase and Jim Belushi and, Gilda Radner and everything. No diss on them, okay? But it was just like this. I could tell, I go, oh, this is going to be a 90-minute movie, or from 10 to 11:30 when it airs. Like, so you're watching all the chaos that happens. And they're just kind of like walking through with this music that's like, do, 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 do. And he's like, and then someone's being mean and someone's smoking weed and someone's like yelling and then a light breaks and they're like, this is what the first night was like. And it was so chaotic and all this stuff. And, Chevy Chase is being tapped on his shoulder to actually take over the Tonight Show. And I don't know, just did not do it for me. I will watch a million documentaries on SNL. I want to hear from people that were, they always focus so much on the first group of people from the 70s. No, the 90s, when it had its first kind of dip, and it was like where they, were picking people like Janine Garofalo and Sarah Silverman, but it was like struggling. Like, I want to hear from those people what their experience was like when they thought they were the luckiest people in the world and it didn't work out. Jay Moore wrote a really great book about his time there, which was super juicy, where he basically admits to kind of stealing a bit from another comic and putting it into a sketch. And it's so many more interesting things. So, okay. So then that's it. Never been on SNL, did go to taping, did hang out with many of them, know them, many of them personally, and didn't go to the party. Moving on. Taylor Swift is, again, like, keep me the fuck out of it. So there was this controversy of, did Taylor have a say in getting Isabella hired? And it sounds like it was really like Justin says, I found her. I thought she looked just like Blake. I showed her to Blake. Blake shared the tape or the video with Taylor, and they both were like, yes, you're right. She totally looks like me. She's perfect. She's great. But then the story gets sent back to Isabella that it was Taylor Swift who like greenlit her going on as playing young Lily / Blake. I don't know. Of course, Taylor's like, what? No, I just showed up one day and saw the script briefly and was like, oh, and they wanted to take the script and, change it and write Ryan's jokes in it. And I just happened to be there. I don't know, but she wants nothing to do this. Please don't drag me in. She's probably terrified somehow Justin's people are going to find a reason to subpoena her. People don't want to be subpoenaed. People don't want to be showing up in court for any reason. They really don't. This was really great. This is Jimmy Fallon's Instagram, and he shared his entire video from when he auditioned for SNL in 1998. And it's so great, and he's so charming, and they really still do it this way. And this is what my audition was, what I was preparing for to do it as well, where you do several celebrities, then you do some original characters, and of course you want to end on your best. So he did all these celebrity ones, and he did some original characters, and then he ended on being able to play the guitar and doing music, which is perfect. And it's so awkward because there's only like a couple people in the room, and even when you do well, they don't laugh. But he's so young, and you can see his likability, and it's just I'd love to see all audition tapes. Like, I'm just telling you, Peacock, who's part of NBC, do an entire 7, season series on all of SNL and people being interviewed and talking about it and showing their audition tapes and saying the best parts, the worst parts, all of it. Just tell all. Underwear drawers are like the wild, wild west of wardrobes. There's no rhyme or reason to them. Anything goes. You got pairs from 3 birthdays and 2 Christmases ago, pairs from 5 different brands with 5 different fits. When you open that drawer every morning, you have no idea what to expect. Now that I felt the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies, my other pairs have got to go because MeUndies is all I reach for. I'm hooked, and honestly, I just feel off if I try to wear anything else. I just love the comfort of MeUndies. It's what I cannot wait to get into every night. They're cool, they're soft, and they just fit right. From all black classics to fun, expressive prints, MeUndies has a look for everyone. Plus, they come in sizes extra small to 4XL, guaranteeing a flattering cut for every body. Also, I love their versatile loungewear. MeUndies isn't just about underwear. You got to explore their lounge collection. Oh my gosh, featuring the softest hoodies, comfy joggers, onesies, and more. Get 20% off your first order plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/JuicyScoop. Enter promo code JuicyScoop. That's MeUndies.com/JuicyScoop. Code JuicyScoop for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in. This episode of Juicy Scoop is brought to you by Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Every time I use Booking.com to find a place to stay in the U.S., I know they'll have exactly what I'm looking for. They have a huge variety of options from hotels to vacation rentals, and I'm always able to find something that fits my specific needs. I found that Booking.com has something for everyone. For me, at this point in my life, Peter and I are looking for luxury. I love a beautiful hotel that has room service. I love a hotel with a spa, great food options. I am the world's best orderer, or walk right outside and go to the cutest coffee shop you've ever seen. That is what I'm looking for. But whether you're a parent and you're accommodating kids with big appetites and you want to make sure that breakfast is included, Booking.com has you covered. So no matter who you are, Booking.com helps you find the stay that's ridiculously right for you. Find exactly what you're booking for on Booking.com, Booking.yeah. That's Booking.com, Booking.yeah. Okay, A$AP Rocky was found not guilty. And he is, a rapper. He has a lot going on, which I'll get to in a minute. He is also his partner, girlfriend. They're not married, is Rihanna. But they have 2 little boys, a 2 and a 1-year-old, and they're together. Now, he was in trial, and I kept seeing next day of the trial, and I'm like, what is this? What is this trial? And every article that came out yesterday was just that he was not guilty. I'm like, can someone just give me why he was there in the first place? So I looked it up. And back in 2021, A$AP Rocky was accused by A$AP Relly for getting angry, whipping out a gun, and shooting him, in which the bullet grazed his knuckle. So the what he was there for was assault with a deadly weapon, which was a semi-automatic gun. So from the little bit that I read, now, of course, I didn't watch the whole trial. It sounds like there wasn't a lot of evidence. It was kind of like a he said, though there were these other groups of people around, and I guess he got mad at him or felt someone in his group was in danger by A$AP Rocky. And the jury went with the thought of 2 things that they were told. One, that he never had a real gun, that it was a prop from something that he did. However, the other defense, which seemed confusing when I was reading this, was also that he did this in self-defense, or this guy is just making it all up. So with all those things, there was just way too much doubt. Did he whip out a fake gun as like a joke? Did he have a real gun, but it was self-defense? Or did it not happen at all? And this guy is the jealous high school buddy whose A$AP name is not as famous as A$AP Rocky. A$AP Relly, A$AP Rocky. They only deliberated for 3 hours and was like, no, not guilty. He was looking at decades if he was convicted. At the last moment, the prosecutor offered them a plea deal of 6 months in jail. He said no. Rihanna brought I think the older boy a few times during the trial, but she was there for the verdict. And it was, a great moment. I mean, if you're a defense attorney, if this is your loved one everyone cheered and he went right to her, which of course we love. We love their cute family. We love her. And I definitely think from what I read that the jury came to the right decision. And then you're kind of wondering, with this lack of evidence, how did this even get to a place of the courts? Well, oftentimes, a DA, this is a high profile case and they're excited about it and they want to get that time in front of the world and the cameras. That's just my opinion sometimes. Other people will say, no, there was a lot of evidence, but the audience was mesmerized by him and his girlfriend and mother of his children, Rihanna, who's, so lovely. We just saw her at the Super Bowl a couple years ago. That was a lot. And then his defense attorney said, A$AP, which is he has a real name, but A$AP didn't even want Rihanna here or his family. But he could not keep her away. That's their love and support for each other, which of course, you love that. But the same thing, when a mom is up for murder or a mom is up for a crime, they're like, she is a mother. Who's going to watch these kids? So, yeah, of course, you want to show them in the best light when the jury goes to deliberate. And he was shown in a great light. Also, he had so much going on. He was not going to take the 6-month deal for something he didn't do, which in March, he's supposed to headline this big music festival. In May, he's co-chair of the Met Gala. And in June, he has a movie coming out with Denzel Washington. So, but I think a lot of people were kind of like, what is this even about? What was this trial even about? But that was the big news that he got off. Now, Zach Bryan, country news. Zach Bryan is the country musician that we talked about who dated this girl, Brianna Chicken Fry, who's a big podcaster, pretty girl, now in Sports Illustrated, social media thing. And they broke up and she spilled the beans on her podcast about what a dick he was and rude and kind of a cheater and, tried to be mean about her outfits and things. Just definitely laid the law for why you probably shouldn't date him, though I'm sure he'll have no trouble getting another girlfriend. Well, last night he was at a bar playing pool and he supposedly a fight almost broke out because he lost the round of pool. Now, there were these guys wearing the Meta Ray-Bans where you can film. You wear the sunglasses, they look completely normal, and you can film stuff. And that's how some of this got caught. He, at one point, according to this TMZ, and his people were asking those guys not to wear the glasses, not to film it. And they're like, well, we're just filming our own thing. And but things got heated, and it was all captured on the Ray-Ban meta glasses. And Zach and his crew ran into the group around midnight. And after playing about 3 rounds of pool, in which he lost, then things got real testy. And then there's a gap in the video, but when it picks up, things have escalated. One of the friends of the meta glasses says, I'm not trying to record your ass. I'm trying to record my shit with my friends for memories, to have fun. And you're just being a douche. And then Zach responded, which is caught on the video, which TMZ has. That's the gayest thing I've ever heard. So anyway, he leaves. So it's really adding, to sounds just like kind of a nightmare. Now, a lot of people go, I'm so confused, Heather. I don't follow country music. What is the difference between Zach Bryan, Zach Brown, and Luke Bryan? So I'm going to clarify. Okay. Zach Brown is Zach Brown Band. He's cute, has a beard, tats, super successful. He is divorced from his wife who has kids with. Now he's also divorcing his second wife who's a model, and it's somewhat contentious. Okay. So he's got some stink on him. Then we go to Luke Bryan. He's 48, married to his first wife. He is clearly the biggest delight of the 3 that share a similar name. So I just want to clear that up. Okay. Wendy Williams. My goodness. Okay. So, being in New York this weekend, it reminded me of so many times when I got to do the Wendy Williams show. And it was always just so fun and great. And my heart has I've talked a lot about what she's gone through. Like, it's scary. You really have to make sure who is in charge of if things go wrong for you. Do you trust that person? So we saw her on her special, and she definitely didn't seem well. We know she has Graves' disease. We saw her ordering drinks when she shouldn't have been ordering drinks and seeming out of it. Then we heard reports she has dementia, which is accelerated because of her alcohol abuse. Then all of a sudden she calls the Breakfast Club from her facility. And that's a big radio show. And she's like, I'm trapped. And she sounds completely like old Wendy. Like she's about to do her show that day with a lot of, you know what I'm saying? But that's what she always says. She would always take her time. She would do hot topics like I'm doing by herself and be able to just go and, and share her unfiltered opinion, take breaks and pauses as she put in a little, candy in her mouth. And that was her. That's what she sounded like on. So people are like, wait a minute. Why is she in a nursing home? So then TMZ goes out to do an interview and their own little documentary on it. And they're filming her from inside of this nursing home on this level, and she's talking, and you see as she's saying her words on the phone in the documentary, we're seeing her up there. And she's like, I'm with 80 and 90-year-olds. I've only been outside twice in the last 30 days for fresh air. I want to see my dad for his 94th birthday. I want to go to Miami. I want to buy him a gift. And now the reports in the facility said she was on a level that had more freedom of going back and forth. However, somehow she got in the elevator, allegedly, and went to the rooftop bar that's part of this building and ordered drinks. So to protect her from herself ordering her drinks, they put her on a level that didn't have access, to the elevator that could take her somewhere. And that's why she ended up on this level of patients that were 80 and 90 and needed a lot more care than she did. Since then, she has said, I believe that my son, she only has one son who she adores. I think he's maybe in his early 20s. I think he graduated from college. He has mismanaged my money. Hey, she's a mom. She's going to forgive him. He's her only son. She loves him. So it was nice to hear that she did leave that facility. She saw her dad for his birthday, and she spent time with her son. And now her people are trying to now readjust this conservatorship, guardianship. And I mean, it really seems like, and then there were people that they interviewed at the facility that were caring for her and who said she doesn't have good days and bad days. She has consistent days, which tells us that she is coherent, which is such great news. And, obviously her son, he's a young guy. He was not the person that should have been in charge of her money. I don't know who is, she was married to Kevin Sr., his dad, all these years. She allowed him to be an EP of her show. She knew he was cheating on her. And not until he got his mistress pregnant did she finally say, I remember her being on The View saying, that's when I had to end it. Like, I can't have the world know that I'm okay with my man having a child with his mistress down the road for me. And I think she knew that was going on for a long time. But just for the sake of her child, for the sake of her image, for the sake of everything else, she put her feelings aside to just keep this going. And then when this child was born, thank God for the child, she got rid of him. But in doing that, I think that adjustment, that switch to this life was really so traumatic for her. And she had admitted to having, addiction issues in the past. I think then the addiction came forward, the depression, all of it. And it's just so good to hear that, hopefully she is okay. I mean, when we saw that documentary, I was just like, she is done. Like, she'll never do anything again. And now I feel like people are very hopeful. She, was going to sue the documentary. Now maybe that's being put on hold. So there's a lot going on there, but I feel like this is all very good news. Meghan Markle. Well, Meghan Markle has returned to social media, and she was supposed to have this show on Netflix called With Love, and it's, where she does crazy stuff like put honey on ricotta cheese and just things that like no one else has ever heard of, or a little extra olive oil on a hummus that you got, at Trader Joe's or whatever, and make it your own, put a couple pine nuts on top and just, get wet. I don't know, like whatever. So she has that show and it got postponed for a couple months. There were a couple theories of why. Could it have been because she had all this press that she was about to do for it, and then the LA fires happened? Remember Dorinda said on Watch What Happens Live, when he's like, the fires, I mean, it's just been horrible, Annie Cohen said. And she's like, yeah, all my press for Traders was just canceled. And I was like, oh my God, that's when you know it's serious. And so did they decide collectively, let's just put this off for a couple months? She also said, Netflix, I'm in business with Netflix. So she's doing, it's like, like someone's like, you got to be more authentic. So now she's doing her own social media, or there's probably 4 people there telling her what to do. No, I can't film you. You have to hold the phone up yourself. So you look and don't have your hair a little frizzy, have no makeup, but we'll have you in good light, and just trying to just be like, all right, you guys, I know you've been waiting and I'm so excited to finally tell you what has been going on. I know you've been asking what is going on. I had this whole business ready to go, which was the American Riviera Orchard Jam Company. And turns out it's actually a place that I live here in Santa Barbara. And in going forward with, if you guys have known me for a long time, I used to have a blog called Tig, and it was all that I love to do, which is gardening and crafting and cooking and being with friends and being creative. And I felt that name really wasn't right because it was really about a specific part. And I want to share food and ideas from all different parts, not just this one little area of Montecito. So I'm calling the new company As Ever. And I'm like, as ever. And so it's like, we've got As Ever, we've got With Love is the TV show. We got what was the other thing? The Archer Foundation, the podcast that went away, thank God. And so we're going to have, she and her celebrity friends laugh as they, make an avocado toast from scratch and, and add a little extra lemon zest to a shrimp cocktail. I don't know what we're going to get with this. But, and I'm sure little antidotes. And at one moment, they'll have one kid run in, even though we know it isn't being filmed at her home, which I don't blame her for that. Why not go down the street, keep the cameras, we'll see. But, she is attractive. She is pretty. And she knows how to wear like a nice white Oxford blouse and just look like simple, just simple, just breezy, just, This is the berry I really didn't even know existed. It's a boysenberry. And I feel like the boysenberries don't really get the star that they should have. And what I do, and a lot of people have never thought of that, I actually cut the boysenberry in half, so that you can spread it around the pancake mix. And it's not just this big chunk inside of it that then the pancake does it. I don't know. Okay. You know what? I'm starting a cooking show, so I shouldn't rip on it. Just wait and see, people. You never know. If you've watched me for a long time, I like to make pancakes, you guys. Okay, Britney Spears was seen on Valentine's Day with her boyfriend / landscaper / father of 9. This guy, Paul, he came into play. They've been on and off for a while since she got divorced from Sam. And so it was Valentine's Day and someone got a photo of her in the car. And it was a side photo and she's wearing a little necklace. And it wasn't like the greatest, most flattering photo. So she has since been putting out a lot of video of her dancing in the most tiny outfits, slapping her ass, and then with a long explanation, but no place to leave a comment, where she was like, it was Valentine's Day and I was with the kids. And first I was like, your kids are like 18 and 20. No, she meant his kids, but he only has partial custody of 3 of them, of the 9. And she was picking them up and they were doing fun things. And then somebody got this very unflattering photo of me and that really pissed me off. So now I'm going to Mexico and then I'm going to New York. And it was it's strange, but I haven't done an update on her in a while. And I thought it was kind of crazy. Very sexy shit. As she's talking about, and also when she's dancing in these super sexy outfits with the underwear like just above the top, so low, like just like you're seeing it all. Anyway, it was like, the thing was so weird because it was like talking about the kids. Like I was with the kids today on Valentine's Day and I'm like, wait, what? And then I read the whole thing. First I thought it was very chaotic and I was like, no, this was her saying, oh my God, I noticed this person staring at us. And now I realize he was taking an unflattering photo of me in a car. Like, what a dick, whatever. I hate this. And so, in light of the Wendy Williams, like, will we ever kind of see her being a little more comfortable and actually being like, this is what I want to do. But right now, I think she likes just being with this guy and who knows. Okay. Selena Gomez for Valentine's Day, her guy, Benny Blanco, made an entire bathtub of nacho cheese and filmed it, put it on social media. Everyone was like, oh my God. Because he's like, when your fiance is not a roses kind of girl, so then she could, and then people are like, oh my God, what about the assistant that has to clean up that nacho? Who cares? You know what I mean? This is what he wanted to do. Social media is a big thing. They got to have a bathtub full of nachos. It was fun and cute. And then somebody came with buckets and filled it up and threw it away. And it really wasn't that big of a deal. So there you go. She wore a very odd dress to the BAFTAs, Selena Gomez. It literally looks like she put on one black off the shoulder dress and then was like, I don't really like this one. Let me put my other choice on top of it. And then was like, wait, let me just push it down. I kind of like this. And then whoever she was with, the same person that thought it was a good idea to fill the bathtub with the nacho cheese, is like, no, it looks great. It really, really looks great. Like, this does not look great. This is awful. Ugh. Okay. Then Zoë Saldaña got the BAFTA for Amelia Perez, who, by the way, the woman playing Amelia Perez, the transgender actress who wrote all the horrible tweets just 5 years ago, was not there. We know that Netflix is not paying her way, her hair, makeup, her transportation. She was, from what I read, she was not there. And when they showed a photo of her as one of the nominees, she did not win. It was like very, very quiet, like not like a woohoo or anything like that. But she won. Zoe won. And she started out thanking her makeup artist. The kindest, most wonderful person I know, my makeup artist. And, you know, those makeup artists, they do a lot for us, but they also tell on you. So she probably was like, in light of the Blake Lively stuff, I'm going to thank someone who knows a lot of shit. And thank you. Okay. We know that Kanye and Bianca have both talked to defense attorneys to get divorced. So, you know, they said, finally, she had it. It wasn't her being forced for him saying, let's make a scene, and her being naked, basically naked at the Grammy red carpet. It wasn't all the other crazy shit he's done. It was the T-shirt with the, Nazi symbol on it. And that was her final straw. Well, I looked back. I'm like, he was saying crazy anti-Semitic stuff when they were together before. So I don't know. Did she just see Schindler's List and was like, you know what? I think it is kind of mean. What the fuck? So I'm not like, oh, good for you. I'm like, but they don't have a prenup. Thank God she's leaving. I hope she gets a lot of money. I think she's truly pissed about the $8 million that he spent to have the commercial during the Super Bowl to then advertise Yeezy.com. And then when you went there, that was the only thing. Luckily, Shopify took it down. And now everyone collectively, I think, knows that he's a piece of shit. Will he come back? Fuck, I hope not. I don't know what, Kim is expected to do, but, she's just like, I'm moving on. I'm doing Skims Nike collab. I'm going to the SNL party, as she should. But I just really feel for her because I don't think there's a worse person to have to co-parent with than Kanye West. All the money in the world. I mean, maybe there's worse people, but very, very difficult. I can imagine to just be like, okay, and and it's like Scott Disick is Jewish, so the cousins are Jewish. Like it is for Kanye and Kim's kids. It's just a big nightmare. I don't know what his deal is, but now there's allegedly some sex tape of Kanye from like 15 years ago going around that is going to complicate things. Like, I don't know who he's with, what he's with, but there's this guy's like, hey, this Jew remembers that I made that sex tape go away, this fixer guy. So he's like threatening, like, we don't care. Like, that's the least of Kanye's worries. Like, unless it's not with someone of age and it doesn't seem consensual, if it's just some chick or some guy even, who cares? Like, that doesn't matter to us. Like, he is so awful for what he has done in the last year, but especially the last 2 weeks. I don't care about that. So let's see what happens with her. Let's see how much money she gets, being that there's not a prenup, being that at one point I thought she had power of attorney, not that that would matter. Is he another one that's going to realize that he's insane and then come out of it and be okay? I don't know. I hope so. Talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is from Life and Style. And Jennifer Tilly, who's an actress, this is her first season. And last night's episode, I don't even think she was in it. She is very, very rich from her ex-husband, who then passed away, created The Simpsons. And they had a friendly divorce, and she got a portion of The Simpsons. So she makes money forever, not just like, oh, we got divorced, here's your big chunk, or, whatever. So she has a ton of money and has a nice boyfriend that they are both like professional poker players. And she's got a fun voice and she's like pops in. But there really isn't a lot of juice to her life. There isn't. But at least she's an actress or whatever, and she's funny. But we don't really see like anything that juicy about her life. We haven't met the boyfriend. She doesn't have any kids. She just shows off like, you know, some $100,000 purse or whatever. And so according to this article, cast is ready to say good riddance to Jennifer Tilly. The ladies can't stand her. So they're saying she's the least popular in the group, and they've been giving her the cold shoulder except for Sutton. Well, I don't know. I think she'll come back for another season unless she chooses like, you know what, it was fun, but it did nothing for me. I don't need the money and I don't care. And if I get any shit or meanness from anybody, then I'm definitely not sticking around. And there is no criticism. I have no criticism for her. There's nothing wrong with her. When she's in the scene, she's delightful, she's normal, she's funny. But as a producer, I would be like, let's keep her another season and see what happens if she wants to do it. But if she quits, we're not like heartbroken because there was no like interesting, juicy thing about it. Sutton and Dorit really went at it last night in Real Housewives Beverly Hills. So we know Dorit and PK are separated, and she has this big barbecue party, and you know, she's got all her designer clothes on and all the people working the barbecue, like 10 people working this big party. And everyone comes over for 4th of July. And it really was kind of a boring episode, to be honest. But she says, so they're sitting there, and Garcelle, who is the closest to Sutton, says, "What are you drinking?" And Sutton says, "Oh, I got one of those watermelon drinks." And Garcelle goes, "Does it have alcohol in it?" And before she can say anything, Dorit says, "You're asking Sutton if her drink has alcohol in it. When has it not?" And then Sutton goes, "You're such a bitch, Dorit. And she goes, "How dare you call me a bitch in my own home?" And she's like, You know what, Dorit? I don't know why you said that during the reunion last year. You tried to insinuate that I had an alcohol problem when it is very clear that I don't have an alcohol problem. Just because I like vodka in drinks when we are filming because you are all assholes." I'm just adding to it. But so that's where it stems. So Sutton still feels that Dorit put out something for the fans to think about. Is Sutton an alcoholic? And she's had moments where she's kind of sounds like kind of a mean, middle-aged, drunk Southern woman when her name 'em moments. But if you ask me, no, I don't think she's what you would consider textbook alcoholic. I don't think if she had to, not drink for 7 days before getting a procedure, I think she could easily do that. I think when there's a social situation, yeah, she wants a vodka with her whatever sea breeze drink or whatever. She wants to take the edge off. She likes the taste of it. It's a sunny day. It's 4th of July, and maybe I think a lot of these women do drink because they're not regular actresses. And if they're supposed to be real, if they're at a 4th of July party, they would go to the bar and get an alcoholic drink. I would, but I wouldn't have that drink before I go do stand-up because I wouldn't drink before my podcast. But if I've never been on TV before and they're like, be yourself, and yourself is someone who has several drinks a week in social settings. Is it good for you after a certain age? No. Should we all cut back a little bit? Yeah. But she's right. Like Dorit, like just because you drink vodka all the time too. You're always you like, and your husband probably was like, that's probably why he might have been pissed too. Maybe he felt I don't know, because she says he's an alcoholic, but she's always being like, I'll have Belvedere, square cubes, 3 lemons, carcass out. I mean, she drinks that all the time. I feel like she's a little bit like a Lisa Vanderpump that always kept it in check, though. Like, I've never seen her eat drunk ever on the show. I've never really seen her slur her words. I think she really keeps it together, and it's very easy for her to keep it together. And because she has that sterling record of being a social drinker, that never has more than 2 drinks at an occasion, then she can be judgy. And she's pissed at Sutton because Sutton cut her off last episode, which she was like talking to the girls right before they go and drive, an hour and a half to Oxnard to see Garcelle. Dorit goes, well, actually, Jagger said, Mommy, are you and Daddy getting divorced? And everyone's like, oh. And I said to him, I'm like, no, Daddy and I will always be a family, but right now we're just, and then Sutton just immediately interrupted and goes, so, Oxnard is kind of far to get to, and I know that Garcelle is waiting for us, so let's wrap it up, get in the car. So she was just like, what is the deal? And they've kind of been going after each other for a while. So that's what last night's show was about, was the fight between the two of them. And then Beau's, I'm going to say it, I don't believe that this new girl, Beau's, ever truly considered having a child with this boyfriend. That's what I'm saying as someone viewing it. Do I know the truth? No, only she knows the truth. But she goes on, she's 48 years old. She has fibroids that she had to get removed. She has one daughter who's almost out of the house. She reveals last night to her cousin that her first pregnancy was very, very difficult, and she lost the child late in the pregnancy, which was extremely traumatic. Then she had her daughter successfully, the one from 16 years ago. And now 16 years later, this guy that she's not been dating that long, who she doesn't say I love to, but agrees to appear on the show. And her whole storyline, every conversation is, do I want to have this baby? Should I have this baby? I have to carry this baby. And then last night, as we're ending the season, she says to her cousin, well, now I don't know if he's just placating me, saying he wants a baby. And I think both of us are scared to say, maybe it's not a great idea. I was like, look, I like her as a cast member. I think she's interesting. I think she's an accomplished woman. She's adding to it. She's, a best friend to Dorit. But I call BS on this story, and you can come at me. I think she was like, well, this is something I considered. I can make a bigger deal out of it. This gives me my own storyline, because I think she's smart. She's a marketing executive. So anybody coming onto the show with someone like her didn't just go, oh, I never watched the show. No, she watched the show. She looked at it. She wanted to be on it. She has big posters of herself framed. Okay, that's fine. She, thinks very high. Even her tagline is, and by the way, I'm not talking about Jennifer Tilly. I'm talking about Beau's, okay? But I don't have a photo of her right now. But anyway, she says, the greatest thing I ever marketed is myself, which is fine. These are supposed to be conceited lines, these taglines. Anyway, that's what I think. I think she studied it, knew she had a storyline, and can't just be her commenting on other people's lives. It has to be something interesting about her own. So she has a romance with this guy, and they talk about having a baby. Doesn't make sense. I don't believe it. It's never going to happen. Mauricio, Kyle's husband, he went skiing and broke his clavicle, and now has to have all these screws and plates in it. Horrible. Also, sad medical news. Teddy, former Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she came forward a few days ago saying that she, had to go to the hospital and have these tumors in her brain removed. Her husband is by her side, Edwin. So is Kyle, and Morgan Wade was there, and, Tamra Judge has been there, and it's just very, very, very sad. And the community has really supported her, and we're just all praying. Very scary, and I hope that they get it all and that she recovers. So now let's get into some juicy crimes and a couple things that I've talked about in the past that you'll remember. The story of Gabby Petito. This was the beautiful blonde girl that we were riveted by. Where is she? She went missing while she had started the van life, trying to be a blogger with her boyfriend, Bryan, who looked a lot older than she, but he was just one of those guys that lost his hair quite young. But he was in his 20s. She was 22. I think he was like 25. And they were a couple, and she was working at Taco Bell, and decided I really want to be like a vacation vlogger, blogger type of person, have my own YouTube channel. And I really don't know what he did. And I'm watching now a documentary about it on Netflix that you can watch now too. But when this went down, it was all about where is she? And so many internet sleuths and TikTokers and people were fascinated by the story because the mom and dad, her parents were divorced, but they got along and they each had another spouse. So she had 4 parents and no one had heard from her for like 10 days. None of her friends had heard from her and she hadn't posted or anything. So they thought that was very, very strange. And they're calling his parents and texting his parents being like, have you heard from the kids? Bryan and Gabby, we haven't heard. It's been a few days. It's been now 6 days, 7 days. And the parents were not ever writing them back or calling them back. And this was very weird because at one time, Gabby even lived with the parents. So what's great about the documentary is they got her phone and we see times when they're trying to film, when she's trying to film little bits and pieces to put together her YouTube van life, vlogging page. And you see her getting annoyed with him and you see her being like, if you knew how to edit, this wouldn't be so hard. Hold on. And so that's what the documentary shows. If you don't recall what happened, it ended in her death. But it's all that what's interesting about it is you feel so badly for the people that were close to her. Your kid is 22 and she has this boyfriend who appears to be nice. There's no signs to anything. And she's 22 and she's independent and she didn't go to college. She didn't want to go to college. But she's, doing well in life. She's a total delight. She loves working at her Taco Bell. She's saving the money. She owns the van. The van is registered to her. The boyfriend asks her to marry him, but she doesn't have a ring. And then they're like, well, we're going to put off marriage and babies. We're going to really see if we can make this van life work, live in this little tiny van and document it and make money as a content creator. And there was only like one little, only a couple little incidences that made her best friend and her mom be like, are you sure you want to do this? And in the end, she was left out there with this guy who ended her life. And then the parents covered up for him. And I want you guys to watch it and then we'll explore it more after everybody's watched the whole thing. But I just felt like this is a great show for everybody to watch with their with their young teenager, to just have people see this with it, because it's really intriguing to watch them go through their phones and stuff, which we didn't see when she was missing. We didn't have access to her phone. So when people say his parents said there's no surprises in this thing. Yeah, there are. There's a lot of surprises. There are a lot of things that just make you think, everyone should see this, because people should be aware whether they're in this relationship or not, or their child, especially when you have a young adult. Sometimes you have to be like, no, I don't think this person's right for you. I am going to come get you. And put your foot down if you ever think your child might be in danger or just not in a healthy relationship. But as a parent who now has young adult kids, I understand why they thought, okay, she's all right. No one could have prevented it. She was going to go on this van life with him, but it's like gives you chills. So Mindy Kaling got a star on the Walk of Fame. And, you know her from The Office, the Mindy Kaling Project. She's also the writer and producer of College Girls, Secret Life of College Girls. And mostly she's had an incredible glow up since her time on The Office 10 years ago. She looks stunning. She's given birth to 2 kids as a single mother. And people have always wondered if BJ Novak, who was also on The Office, and I think at one time they did have a brief relationship, if he is the secret father of her kids. That's the juicy part of it. Well, he presented her with the Walk of Fame, spoke about it, gave a great speech to her. He is the godfather of her 2 kids. And then I was like, is he the dad? Nobody really knows. And so she doesn't feature her children on social media. So people were like seeing photos of like the kids of the back of their head and if they have the same shape of the head of BJ Novak. My personal opinion is no, I don't think he's the dad. I think that much like Lala Kent, a lot of other women, she was at a place where she wasn't in a place to get married or have a child with someone, and is smart enough to know that she wants to be a mom, and she wants to be a mom, and give birth and be able to carry her own children, which really is reserved for women, most women under 40. Okay. So I think that she got, a sperm donor, probably bought the whole lot so that nobody else has half siblings of her kids, but kept a great friendship with him. I think, why would you want, like, when you can literally go and find the perfect guy that maybe you find someone that's funny and is an artist and is a certain height and has all the healthy genes and also great in science, whatever. That's who I think the dad is. And, but I love that people think this. And I just think they truly have a good friendship. And he is the godfather because she wants a male figure around for her kids. But what also is interesting is I hadn't seen him in a while. He still looks great, but he looks so much older than when he was on The Office, because I don't think he's had anything done. Not that she's had a ton, but with her like fitness journey, and I think she's definitely had some plastic surgery, but her style and everything, she looks absolutely stunning. She looks younger than when she was, she looks so much better than when she was on The Office, and she has every right to be, but it was just kind of interesting to see. And I remember that totally happened at like our high school reunions, especially at the 20 year and at the 30 year. It was like, the 20 years when you're 38, right? And girls are getting the Botox, they are coloring their hair and everything. And the guys are like letting that gray come in, or they've lost their hair, or they've gained some weight, and then go to the 30 year. And it's crazy, especially where we live, how much better the women look than the guys. It's almost like this Twilight Zone, where there was an old Twilight Zone where this guy was interviewing this old movie star, and she had this like decrepit butler like come and like serving her. And it turned out that he was like her first husband, and she was just getting all this plastic surgery, and like she looks so much younger than him. Anyway, just thought that was fun. But congrats to her. She certainly deserves it. And no, I don't think he's the dad. White Lotus has begun. I am excited to watch it. So start watching it, because I definitely want to cover it and talk about it on the show. And Patrick Schwarzenegger is on it. And apparently he does full frontal. And this is Arnold and Maria's son. And a lot of people are talking about it. And I kind of want to see what goes on with it. And talk about working the secret. I don't know how this happened, but he said in an interview that he and his family would get together and watch White Lotus the last 2 seasons. And they were like, you have to get on that show. You have to. And then somehow he got an audition and he got on it. So it's just like, wow, people, work the secret. Say you want to be on a show and you will get on it. It has nothing to do with any connections or your parents or anything. But he is gorgeous and probably great in it as well. So it all works out, people. All right, you guys, there's still so many topics I didn't have time to get to. That will be a part of Patreon or next week. And remember, March 1st, I'll be in Palm Springs at Agua Caliente. Everything is at heathermcdonald.net. Thank you so much.